In her lawsuit, Thalia, through her attorneys, sues Sean Diddy Combs, also known as the defendant, and another individual and other entities.
Even when he played Hit 'Em Up the song, I didn't like the song.
Did you feel like it was
I didn't
too
like
much?
it.
Right.
But what did catch my attention, man, when I was listening to that podcast, man, was Suge Knight revealing that, Snoop, he worked with Big Dre after Tupac got
Hollywood is buzzing with drama right now, and it seems like a lot of celebrities are trying to keep a low profile, hiding from the spotlight as the flames of scandal grow hotter. Of course, the Diddy case is still unfolding, and things are only getting messier as more and more names get dragged into the chaos. Every day, the situation is getting worse, and it's becoming clear that some people are doing everything they can to distance themselves from this whole ordeal. And one of the names popping up in this context, none other than the legendary Snoop Dogg himself.
After I seen him jump on that side, I was concerned.
Apparently, it looks like Snoop has been keeping his head down, dodging any mention of the case, because rumors are swirling that he might be more involved in Diddy's scandal than anyone realized. Investigators are allegedly keeping a close eye on him, and things are starting to look a bit dicey for the man who many regard as the father of hip-hop. Sure, Snoop might be considered a trailblazer in the music industry, but that doesn't erase the fact that he's no stranger to controversy. From the long-standing allegations about his connection to Tupac's death, fueled by Suge Knight's claims to being labeled one of the biggest fibbers in hip-hop, and even throwing shade at Diddy's notorious freak-off parties, Snoop has found himself in the thick of it more times than one can count. Now, the Tupac rumors have always loomed large over Snoop's legacy.
And I knew that Pac did everything right by him by putting him on All Eyes on Me, speaking about him and being real with him. And if it's true what they say,
this call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
Face-to-face is going to be a lot of explaining to do.
Some say he was jealous of Tupac, and others go as far as to claim he somehow benefited from Tupac's tragic passing. And as if that's not wild enough, there's even talk that Snoop and Diddy might have had a hand in orchestrating the whole thing. But if that wasn't enough to keep people talking, there's also the matter of Snoop's involvement in Diddy's wild freak-offs. Word on the street is that Snoop attended a fair share of these infamous events, and while he's publicly criticized Diddy's strange parties on more than one occasion, it hasn't stopped fans from speculating about just how deep his involvement runs. Some even say Diddy may have given Snoop a heads up, warning him to be careful now that things are heating up in this case. Let's dive in. So in a recent episode of Collect Call with Suge Knight, aired through Dave May's Breakbeat Media, Suge Knight dropped some serious claims suggesting that Snoop Dogg is part of a so-called secret society with Diddy. According to Suge, there's more going on behind the scenes with these two than people might think. He pointed out that certain behaviors, like rappers painting their nails or buying each other lavish gifts, could be signs of them being involved in this exclusive group. Suge didn't hold back when explaining his theory either. He straight up said, once they start painting their fingernails and wearing women's clothes, they got you. He even recalled a specific moment that really stuck with him. During the ASCAP Awards, when Diddy was being honored, Andre Harrell, a major figure in the music industry, publicly gave Diddy an expensive watch right in front of everyone, almost as if he was confessing his love to him. This, according to Suge, was a major red flag. From there, Suge goes on to point out how tight Diddy and Snoop became not long after. He said, Puffy and Snoop became besties. Every time you saw one of them, the other wasn't far behind. And then, almost out of nowhere, they both started painting their nails, which Suge found suspicious. In his words, it just didn't make sense. Suge's comments have definitely stirred the pot, adding more fuel to the fire of speculation surrounding Diddy and Snoop's friendship, and now people are wondering if there's more to this so-called secret society than meets the eye. On top of all these bold accusations, Suge Knight has gone even further, hinting that Snoop Dogg might actually have some connection to the death of Tupac. It's a pretty intense claim, and Suge isn't being subtle about it either. In a recent interview, he said that he's looking for some answers from Snoop regarding Tupac's, making it clear that he wants to have a serious, face-to-face conversation with his former artist to get to the bottom of things. But Suge didn't stop there. He's been throwing out more pretty wild accusations, even suggesting that back in 1996, Snoop allegedly told another rapper not to join the Death Row crew on their trip to Vegas, stating that something's gonna happen. This was right around the time when everything went down with Tupac. This claim has definitely raised some eyebrows, as it adds a whole new layer of intrigue to the already complicated story surrounding Tupac's death, and giving us more reason why Snoopy might be on the run. Suge seems to be implying that Snoop might have known something about what was going to happen that night, which, if true, could completely change how people view the events leading up to Tupac's. Naturally, this is stirring up even more speculation, and fans are left wondering if there's any truth to these claims, or if it's just another chapter in the long-running feud between Suge and Snoop. Either way, it's clear that Suge isn't letting this go anytime soon, and people are eager to see what happens next in this never-ending saga. He went on to say this in the interview, kind of like hinting Snoop and Diddy might truly have been curled up with Tupac's death. As far as the Puffy situation, I really gotta have a real conversation with Snoop, he said. I knew that Pac did everything right by him by putting him on All Eyes on Me, speaking about him and being real with him. And if it's true what they say, face to face, it's gonna be a lot of explaining to do. Well, he did not stop there. He also took a moment to respond to some remarks Warren G made during his appearance on Drink Champs, where Warren shared a story about how he and Snoop found out about Tupac's shooting through a Nextel radio while they were in Los Angeles. Suge found this pretty suspicious, and he didn't hesitate to call it out. He said, "The only way you'd have a radio like that is if you were at the fight with us and had a security detail." Suge pointed out that Snoop didn't have any security detail at the time, which made him wonder, by him not having a security detail, what are you doing with a radio? Why would you have a play-by-play on the radio?
Only way you would have a radio if you was at the fight with us and you had a security detail. Now, not having a security detail, what are you doing with the radio?
Suge's comments are definitely adding more questions to the mix, especially since Warren G previously revealed something pretty interesting about that night. During his Drink Champs appearance, Warren shared a story about how he unintentionally saved Snoop from possibly getting caught up in the drive-by shooting that took Tupac's life. He explained that Snoop had originally planned to head to Las Vegas with Tupac and Suge to watch the Mike Tyson vs. Bruce Seldon fight on September 7, 1996. However, at the very last minute, Snoop changed his mind and decided to hang back in LA instead, taking Warren G up on his offer to watch the fight at his house.
If I wouldn't have talked to him and got him to come over to my house, he probably would have been right there in the car with them.
That simple decision might have been the stroke of luck that saved Snoop's life given what happened in Vegas later that night. Warren G's story paints a different picture of the night Tupac was shot, adding even more layers to the already complex and tragic situation. Suge's questions about the radio and Snoop's last-minute decision to stay behind are certainly fueling more speculation, as fans try to piece together what really happened during those fateful hours. Well, it looks like Suge may just be right with his allegations, cause rumors had it that Snoopy was just very jealous of Tupac. Not just that, severally other celebrities like Napoleon and Nas have called his bluff on many occasions.
That's a false narrative that I think Snoop was pushing. You know what I mean? Pac, for a fact, he wasn't really... He had a lot of, like, he used to send us pictures, and his pictures on the internet when he was taking pictures with New York dudes up in Clinton.
One of the times Snoop was called out for stretching the truth was when he talked about his role in Tupac's life, particularly when Pac was locked up. Snoop once claimed that while Tupac was in prison, he was facing serious threats and was in a lot of danger. According to Snoop, he was the one who stepped in and urged Suge Knight to bail Pac out to protect him from the situation inside. This story definitely raised a few eyebrows, as some people questioned whether Snoop was really that involved in getting Tupac out of prison, or if he was just adding his own spin to the story. It's one of those moments where folks started wondering just how much of Snoop's version of events could be taken at face value.
Was Tupac having issues when he was in prison? Because I know Snoop, he always say that he was hearing bad things, so he told Suge Knight to get him out.
However, this version of events has been shot down by Napoleon, who was a close friend of Tupac and a member of the Outlaw's crew. Napoleon dismissed Snoop's story, saying that it wasn't accurate. According to him, Tupac was actually well-liked while he was in prison, making friends and even taking pictures with people.
But that's a false narrative that I think Snoop was pushing. You know what I mean? Pac, for a fact, he wasn't really... he had a lot of, like, he used to send us pictures, and his pictures on the internet when he was taking pictures with New York dudes up in Clinton.
So the idea that Pac was in danger or needed rescuing just didn't line up with what was really happening at the time, at least from Napoleon's perspective. Napoleon also pointed out that during the times they visited Tupac in prison, Pac never mentioned feeling threatened or unsafe. Sure, like anyone, Tupac was definitely eager to get out, because who wouldn't be? But according to Napoleon, it had nothing to do with Snoop asking Suge Knight to step in. It was more about Pac just wanting his freedom back, not some rescue mission orchestrated by Snoop.
We used to go visit him monthly, some of us weekly. I can't recall him saying anything where he felt like he was in danger. You know what I mean? Like, not one time. He wasn't like, hey, I'm good. Y'all just go do y'all thing and leave me alone. No, he wanted to come home, but he definitely wasn't having any issues.
Snoop Dogg's habit of embellishing stories doesn't stop there. Another time he was caught exaggerating was about the infamous run-in between Tupac and Nas at the MTV Video Music Awards. The mid-90s in New York was a wild era for hip-hop, with Nas and Biggie battling for the title of King of New York, Jay-Z on the come-up, and Wu-Tang Clan making waves. It was a competitive, high-stakes scene, and when Tupac got involved, it was like throwing gasoline on a fire. On Nas's second album, The Message, he claimed the King of New York title and took shots at Biggie and Jay-Z. For some reason, Pac thought the opening line, "Fake thug, no love, you get the slug, CB for Gusto," was directed at him, which dragged Nas into the growing feud between Pac, Biggie, Puff Daddy, and Bad Boy Records. It didn't help that Nas was rolling with Mobb Deep, who already had their own issues with Tupac. The tension finally came to a head at the 1996 MTV Video Music Awards when Tupac and Nas crossed paths. Snoop later recounted this moment, claiming Nas showed up with about 100 shooters from Queens who started surrounding the death row crew. According to Snoop's version, Nas wasn't looking for trouble, not because he couldn't handle it, but because he decided to keep things peaceful. Snoop painted a picture of Pac going off on Nas, hurling insults, all while being completely unaware that Nas's crew had them surrounded and could have taken them out if they wanted to.
But Nas had 100 with guns.
Right.
So listen to what I'm telling you.
Yeah.
By me saying he didn't want none didn't mean he didn't punk out.
Snoop's take made it seem like Pac was this reckless hothead while Nas was the calm, collected leader. But here's the kicker. Snoop wasn't even there when it all went down. According to Napoleon, who was actually part of Tupac's crew, Snoop's version is way off base. Instead of the tense standoff Snoop described, Napoleon says that when Pac and Nas bumped into each other, they were actually pretty respectful. Pac didn't disrespect Nas like Snoop claimed. It was more of a moment of mutual respect. They talked it out and cleared up the misunderstanding right then and there.
Pac wasn't disrespecting Nas at all. You know, I know Snoop said Pac punked Nas and then went to Snoop and said, you see how I got these New York dudes? None of that happened, bro. It was a respect, it was a mutual respect thing. So when Pac and Nas met each other, it was nobody talking disrespect from both sides. Maybe the people behind Nas and the people behind Pac was mean mugging, saying certain things, but Pac and Nas handled it like real gentlemen.
Pac even promised that once he got back to LA, he would take Nas's name out of any diss tracks where it was mentioned. Unfortunately, Tupac was not long after and never got the chance to make good on that promise. To make things even more interesting, Napoleon also doesn't recall Snoop being there at all during this whole incident.
And then Pac literally told him, he said, look, I got songs dissing you. When I go back to LA, I'm gonna remove every verse that I mention your name in. But Pac couldn't do it because he passed away. I don't remember Snoop being there, definitely. I don't remember Snoop being there at all. Unless he was like in the cut somewhere, like, you know what I mean? When nobody saw him but him, but I don't remember him being there.
Nas himself even confirmed that Snoop got the story wrong.
I heard Snoop told the story a few times, but he had it wrong a little bit. He had said that Pac slipped him, and nobody was really there. Yeah, we had a great combo.
But why would Snoop even make up a story about Tupac in the first place? Well, it turns out that Snoop and Tupac weren't exactly best buddies before Pac's death. And like we have earlier said, this was most likely because of the fact that Snoopy was envious of Pac. Things got pretty rocky after Tupac dropped Hit 'Em Up, mainly because Snoop decided to keep his ties with Bad Boy Records, who were Tupac's rivals at that time. The tension really reached a boiling point when everyone was in New York for the 1996 MTV Video Music Awards. Snoop bailed on a rehearsal and recording session for a planned appearance with Tupac on Saturday Night Live, which didn't sit well. To make matters worse, during the height of the East Coast-West Coast rivalry, Snoop went on local radio in New York saying he had nothing but love for Biggie and Puffy. That was a major slap in the face to Tupac, especially since, as Napoleon mentioned in a recent interview, Tupac and Snoop had just been in the studio recording diss tracks directed at Biggie and Puffy. From that point on, things just got more awkward. Snoop has shared how uncomfortable he felt on the flight back to the West Coast, worrying for his safety as the tension between him and Tupac escalated. Tragically, Tupac was shot just a few days later and they never got the chance to sort things out. Well, it looks like Snoopy's slate is not that clean after all, and the alleged rumors of him being on the run may just be true because Diddy might just have enough rolled up on his sleeves to reveal. That said, what do you think this may end? Do you think Snoop Dogg could go scot-free if caught? Drop a comment below.